Hello everybody, I'm the pilot Blake and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Today we are finally looking at the FlightFX Cessna Citation X for the first time together. Now I know this airplane has been out for a while and I have been meaning to get it ever since it came out, but just didn't get around to it until literally a few days ago. So I've spent the last few days flying it and studying the user manual, just trying to learn the airplane as much as I could and get some time in it before I made this video. So I certainly have a lot more learning to do, but I at least feel competent enough now to bring this video to you guys, showcasing it for the first time here on the channel. Now, the Cessna Citation X. This is my favorite business jet ever built. It is known for being one of the fastest business jets in the world. In fact, it was the fastest for a long time, but has now been beat. However, it is still among the top dogs. It has a maximum operating Mach number of 0.92 or 0.935 on the 10 Plus, and a service ceiling of 51,000 feet, allowing it to fly faster and higher than any current airliner. Besides its speed and service ceiling, I also love this airplane because of how it looks. It is such a good looking airplane and it just looks like it was built to go fast. The airplane is aggressively swept. In fact, the wings are swept so far back that you actually have to be mindful of your wingtips when landing in a crosswind, because at certain pitch attitudes and bank angles during landing, you could actually strike a wingtip. The airplane we are flying today does not have winglets. However, FlightFX does provide a winglets version of the airplane as well when you purchase it. The original 10s did not have winglets from the factory. However, they were offered as a retrofit in later years and became a standard feature on the 10 Plus. So this airplane will be about 5% less efficient than the winglets version, and FlightFX does model this effect. The airplane is powered by two heavy Rolls-Royce AE 3007C engines, producing 6,700 pounds of thrust each. Another reason I love the Citation X is for its engines. With a fan diameter of 44 inches, these engines are very big for an airplane this size, which is a testament to the kind of power and performance this airplane is capable of. The weight of the engines in conjunction with the light nose on this aircraft contributes to its somewhat unique handling characteristics. The airplane is very pleasant to hand fly, feels light on the controls, and seems to have a neutral dynamic stability, meaning that if you give it a control input, it doesn't have a tendency to return to its original attitude, nor further deviate from its original attitude. Rather, it tends to hold its new attitude. This effect comes into play on landing, where after the main wheels touch down, you actually have to de-rotate the aircraft and give it forward pressure to fly the nose gear onto the runway. This is important because in this airplane, the nose gear is supposed to be on the ground before the thrust reversers are deployed or manual braking is applied after landing. All right, we are walking out to the airplane now. We are here in Kansas City at the Kansas City Downtown Airport. And today we're not going to do anything too crazy with the airplane. We're just going to be flying it up to Chicago Midway. Not using any ATC, we're just going to focus on our first look at the Citation X on today's flight. So we'll go ahead and get our covers removed and we'll open up the main door here. Let you guys see it swing open. It sounds really good. The sounds on this airplane are amazing by Boris, so we would expect nothing less. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the pre-flight inspection, and then we will jump into the cockpit and get the airplane started up and head to Chicago. All right, everybody, welcome aboard the Cessna Citation X, sitting behind the Honeywell Primus 2000 avionics here. And I've got mine set up right now with the cathode ray tube displays here, the CRTs. And I really like how these look. You can see the rounded edges and kind of the fuzzy and hazy look to them, which is, I just think is super cool, kind of old school. But they also give you an option to do the liquid crystal displays, the LCD screens as well, so you can do that. And this airplane also has the auto throttle mod in it as well. So you can control and change all of that stuff in the tablet here. Which I think is really cool. So I've done everything up to the starting engine checklist. So we are pretty much ready to start the airplane. We've got our flight plan in here, and if I press the MFD map button here, we can actually step through it like you would on like in a 737 or something like that. So we're going to be flying the Royal 2 departure out of Kansas City downtown, and we go out to the Arians transition, and then from there we go to Kirksville and join the ND8 arrival into Chicago Midway. And then we end up, basically, we're going to be vectoring ourselves for an ILS runway 31 right approach at Midway. So that's what we're going to be doing. If I press that again, it goes back to the default rows, which is what we want. So let's go ahead and start running through our checklist here and get this thing fired up. So before we do that, obviously we need to come back here. We've got our passengers on board, as you can see. We'll go ahead and close the cabin door like this. Now it's all closed up. We'll jump back in our seat here. And if we go to ground services here on the tablet, you'll see everything's all closed up. And we are ready to pull the chocks because we're going to start the airplane. So we'll go ahead and remove the chocks, and that's good. And for now, I'm going to actually go and just put the tablet away. Okay, before we start the airplane, let's go ahead and get the ground recognition light on. And we are ready to start the airplane. So we've already started the APU. Pack isolation valve knob closed over here. That is indeed closed. And we'll check our start pressure. So we'll go to the engine page. Start pressure is 47 psi, which is really good. And we will start the right engine first. So we've got our anti-collision light on, and we are ready to start the right engine. So we'll engage the starter here. We're going to be looking for 10% N2, and then we'll move that thrust lever into the idle position like so. Just like that. And we have N1 rotation. And we're going to be looking for oil pressure and monitoring our ITT. You're going to hear the PTU barking as the airplane starts up. Just listen to this thing fire up. It sounds so good. Awesome. Good start on the right engine. Verify we've got good hydraulic pressure, and we do. That looks good. And we are ready to start the left engine the exact same way. All right, we've got two good engines. Hydraulic pressure looks good as well. And verify both generators are on, and they are. Both gens are on. GPU was not used. APU bleed air switch can come off like so. And we'll go back to the engine page on here. And we'll go ahead and we'll turn the right bleed air knob, the right engine bleed air knob off. Start pressure goes to 0. We open the isolation valve, left side picks it up. Turn the left side off, it goes off. Back on, good. Close it, good. And back on. That check is done, that looks good. All right, flight controls check. Let's go ahead and go to the control positions page. We'll check our flight controls here. So we're going to look at our ailerons here. And elevator. And rudder. And only the bottom rudder will move since our flaps and slats are up. Check our speed brakes real quick. Speed brakes are up, and they're indicating up. Speed brakes back down, and we'll set flaps 5 for departure. AHRS looks good. All the instruments look good. No flags, and everything's indicating properly and agreeing, so all of that looks good. Standby gyro is uncaged. Anti-ice systems as required. They're going to be all remain off for a taxi. Pressurization outs. Select norm. That's good. And we have the passenger safety lights on. Seatbelts and shoulder harnesses are adjusted and locked, and we'll go ahead and close the aft divider door so we can have privacy and they can have privacy as well. And that looks good. We are ready to taxi. Okay, taxi checklist. Exterior lights as required. We'll turn the taxi lights on. And we will check our brakes, steering, instruments, and thrust reversers during taxi. So releasing our brake here, give it a little bit of thrust. We're going to be taxiing over to runway 4 for our departure. So our steering is working properly. Instruments appear to be working properly and indicating properly. And we'll check our brakes here once we straighten out. Straighten the airplane out, and we'll check our brakes. All right, we got brakes, instruments, steering, and now we need to check our thrust reversers here. So go and deploy the left reverser. I'll show you guys this on my throttle quadrant. Verify we're clear here. So we're gonna deploy the left reverser, verify all the lights come on, and then we're gonna go to emergency stow, and it goes back just to the arm position. We'll stow it on the lever and go back to normal. That's the thrust reverser check. We'll do it on the right side as well. Okay, we are approaching runway 4, and we've got the taxi checklist complete. Both thrust reversers looked good. We'll set the parking brake here, and we will do our before takeoff checklist. All right, anti-systems check if required. We don't need to do that check on today's flight. Seats, seat belts, and shoulder harnesses are all adjusted, secured, and the divider door is closed. Speed brakes are at 0. Trim set for takeoff. Rudder and aileron trims are centered, and we'll set our elevator trim right here into the green range, like so. Trims are all set. Yacht Amper and Mach trim are both on. Crew briefing complete. So I've already briefed the SID. Again, it's the Royal 2 departure. Basically, it's a climb on heading 037 until 1900 feet, and then basically climb on assigned heading. Expect radar vectors to the appropriate route. We're not using ATC, so we'll be vectoring ourselves on the departure. The top altitude on the departure is 10,000 feet, so I've got that set initially, but we'll climb higher up once we get in the air, obviously. So we briefed our SID. The takeoff briefing, we're going to be a normal flaps 5 departure, rolling takeoff from runway 4. We'll line up on the runway, bring our thrust levers all the way up, verify that the thrust levers are set to the command bugs, and that we have takeoff green on there. And airspeed alive. V1 is 124, VR is 127, so we'll rotate at 127. We'll go and get our flight director up there. Rotate at 127, it'll be a positive rate gear up, and then through 170 we'll bring the flaps and slats up. And as far as our emergency briefing goes, if we experience a loss of control or an engine failure or similar below V1, we will reject the takeoff with full reverse thrust, speed brakes, manual braking, and come to a stop. Above V1, we will take the airplane into the air and treat it as an in-flight emergency. The most important thing obviously will be to maintain control of the airplane, but we'll plan to make left close traffic and come back and land on runway 4 because we do have good weather today. So that's what we would plan to do in the event that something happens above V1. Obviously we'll run checklists and things like that, time permitting, and if we were using ATC, we would communicate our intentions to ATC as well. Okay, so we've briefed our SID, and our takeoff and our emergency briefing is complete as well. So crew briefing is complete. Radar as required. We're going to leave the radar system off. We don't need it on departure. Transponder can go to TARA, like so. Very good. And we'll turn the pitot static heats both on, and exterior lights. For departure, we're going to get pretty much everything on. We don't need the tail flood today, though. That would be the only thing. Get our landing lights on, and that looks good. So lights are on, engine instruments all look good. ICAS is checked. Before takeoff checklist is complete. And we are cleared for takeoff. Runway 4. Everything looks good. 037 to 1900 feet, and then expect radar vectors. So at that point, we'll be vectoring ourselves on course pretty much. Alright guys, I'm going to shut up and let you listen to this airplane because it sounds absolutely awesome. Ignore the yellow X on the runway. This runway is in fact open, so that's just not legit. Here we go. Alright, takeoff is green. It's 80 knots. E1, rotate. Pause and brake, gear up. Flight level change. Climb detent. There's 170. Flaps and slats up. And we'll give ourselves a left turn heading 360. We're in FMS, auto throttle's coming on, and we will turn the autopilot on as well. Alright. Very good. We'll look at our checklist. After takeoff, climb checklist. Landing gear is up. Flaps and slats are up. Throttles, climb detent. Anti-systems are as required. Engine sync will go to the fan today. And pressurization check. Verify we are pressurizing. And it does appear we're getting a cabin pressure differential, so that looks good. Passenger advisory lights, we're going to leave those for now. And altimeters, we'll get those once we get higher up. And exterior lights, we'll go ahead and turn the taxi lane lights off. The recog light stays on. And we will turn the APU off now as well. Alright, reaching 10,000 feet now. We'll continue our climb. We're going up to flight level 390 on today's flight. So we'll put 390 in there. And we'll go back to FLC. So we have VFLC, and I went ahead and I also activated the leg from Kansas City to Keiko, so we'll intercept that. We'll arm nav mode. So as soon as the airplane intercepts this line, it will turn onto it, and we'll be on course. So that looks good. Airplane is accelerating now to climb at 300 knots, indicated, and the auto throttle's doing its job well. So everything is looking pretty good on our departure so far. Alright, climbing through 18,000 feet, we'll go ahead and get our altimeters set to standard pressure. And those are set. 2992 set on all three across the board. We'll turn our recog lights off. We'll turn our passenger lights off, so they are free to roam about the cabin as their hearts please. We'll go to the prog page here on the first officer's FMC. And we are looking really good. We'll make sure we've completed the climb checklist here. So that all looks good. Let's double check our pressurization, make sure it's still looking good. And it is. Passenger advisory lights are as required, altimeters are set, exterior lights are set, and the APU is off. So the after takeoff / climb checklist is complete. Alright, we are leveling off already at our cruise altitude of flight level 390. Looks like we will be cruising at Mach 0.89 today. We'll see what kind of true airspeed that gives us. We do have a nice ground speed. We've got a big tailwind, 73 knot tailwind component. So we're still accelerating here, and our ground speed is climbing through 560 knots. So this will be a pretty quick flight, certainly. And what I like to do, especially when we're flying a star like the ND8 Arrival with all of the step down altitudes and all that good stuff, I like to go to MFD setup and get the vertical profile. and then you can actually see all of those steps along the way. So you can see our top of descent is only like 50 miles away, so we'll be there in, you know, pretty much no time in this airplane. So I'll go ahead and put that up on both sides. And looking at our cruise checklist, throttles cruise detent are as required, so the auto throttle is managing that. It's on cruise, maintaining Mach 0.89, which is very good. Pressurization check, verify pressurization looks good. Indeed. Fuel transfer is verified, so cruise checklist is complete. Alright, we are already coming up to our top of descent here, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that they would have cleared us to descend via the ND8 arrival, runway 31 right. So we'll go ahead and put 6,000 feet in the altitude pre-selector, and she will fly us all the way down the arrival and meet all of the restrictions along the way. Alright, we are approaching the top of descent here. I've already done the arrival and approach briefing into Chicago. Weather in Chicago looks really good, so we shouldn't have any kind of a factor as far as weather is concerned. There we are, beginning our descent, and let's look at our descent checklist. So left hand and right hand windshield heat switches are going to come on. And side window vent knobs closed. Go ahead and close that up and make sure the one on the other side is closed as well. And pressurization check and set landing field elevation. So in this airplane, I don't know the procedure for this exactly, because I know in a lot of airplanes, like in the PA-46, you know, we set 500 feet or 1,000 feet above landing field elevation. So in this airplane, I don't know if you do that or if you just set it exactly to landing field elevation. So if somebody knows, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and just put the selector at like 600. Touchdowns in elevation 613, so we'll air a little bit higher than that, just to ensure that we are depressurized before, or just before touchdown. So we'll go ahead and say that pressurization is good, landing field elevation set, anti-ice switches as required, they're all as required, APU as desired. We're probably not going to start the APU, we're probably just going to shut the airplane down cold once we get to Chicago. And exterior lights and altimeters, we'll get those at the transition altitude. Alright, weather in Midway. Winds are tree 10 at 6, visibility 10, few clouds 6,000, temperature 9er, dew point -1, altimeter 3014. There's our transition altitude. We'll go 3014 on the altimeters. 3014 is set on all 3 altimeters. We'll go ahead and turn our recog lights on as well, and we'll get our seatbelt sign on. That looks good. So we've got the weather, the altimeters are set, and let's double check that we got the descent checklist all done. So we've got our windshield heats on, side window, vent knobs are closed, pressurization, we've checked and set that already. And let's check our pressurization one more time, just make sure we are now depressurizing, and we are, that looks good. and anti-ice is otherwise required. APU is going to remain off, and exterior lights are good. Altimeters are set. Descent checklist is complete. All right, just looking ahead a little bit here, we are almost to Stickney. So we'll cross Stickney at 6,000 feet, and then from there will be a right turn towards Winters, and then off to Gaga, and then off after Gaga, it'll be on track 091. Expect radar vectors onto the localizer. So basically we'll be vectoring ourselves onto the localizer at that point. So my plan is once we pass Stickney and are heading towards Winters, once we get within the MSA, which for where we are will be 3,400 feet, we will descend and maintain 3,400 feet, and then vector ourselves onto the localizer after Gaga. So that is my plan for the arrival and the approach into Midway. All right, we are within 25 nautical miles of Chicago Heights now, so we can descend and maintain 3,400 feet. So we've got 3,400 feet set. We're going to disarm VNAV, and we'll go vertical speed, do a vertical speed descent on down to 3,400 feet. We'll start slowing the airplane down a little bit as well. I'm going to go ahead and go to manual speed, and we'll slow it down to 200 knots initially, and that will be good for our descent. And we'll start looking at the approach checklist a little bit here. So we do have the landing data confirmed, and crew briefing is complete. I've briefed the approach, so that's good. Avionics are set. We've got our localizer frequencies in there, and we've got our minimums set up in the radar altimeter. So that is good. Fuel crossfeed switch is off. Exterior lights as required. They're all as I want them to be, except for the landing and taxi lights, which we'll get on. We can go and get the landing lights on now. We'll get the taxi lights when we put the gear down. So lights are good. Flaps and slats as required. We'll hold off on that for now. Passengers are briefed. Seat belts, short harnesses, and afterburner doors. All that stuff is good. Passenger advisory lights are at pass safety. Ignition switches are both on norm. And pressurization, zero differential, we'll check for once we get a little bit lower. We should be almost depressurized though. Okay, looking good. Pressurization looks good, and engine sync off. And that is the approach checklist complete already. We've got the ATIS, in this case it was the METAR. The altimeters are set, the approach briefing is complete, the avionics are set, and the airplane, we can go ahead and start putting it into the approach configuration. Let's go ahead and slow it down now to 180 knots. And we'll bring the slats in, and we'll go flaps 5. All right, we are coming up on Gamma. From there, it'll be on track 091 for radar vectors. So we got our heading bug centered up there. We'll go ahead and switch over to heading mode. And 091 is actually going to be a couple degrees to the right. And from there, we'll go ahead and we will get our FMS set up for the approach. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab Gleam here, and I'm going to bring it up to Gaga. And basically that activates that leg now, so we can vector ourselves over to the leg on that approach. So it looks like it'll be about a left turn heading 050 or so for now. So we'll go 050 on the heading. We're going to maintain 3,400 feet until we are on a published segment of the approach. So we're going to be joining the approach between Gleam and Runt. which means once we get on that segment, we can descend and maintain 2,500 feet. We're gonna go ahead and let's make a left turn heading about 020, I think will be good. 010, I mean. 010 set. And we'll plan to join the localizer. And again, once we get on this leg, we can descend and maintain 2,500. I'll go ahead and put that in there for now. We can put 2,500 feet in there. We just won't start descending to 2,500 feet yet. So 010, and I think that's going to actually be about right. So we'll go ahead and arm nav mode. All right, we are turning on to it now. So now we'll go ahead and descend down to 2,500 feet, and we're going to go and slow the airplane down now to 150 knots. And we are turning inbound on the approach. All right, and we can go ahead and arm the approach now on the autopilot. Localizer takes over. We got 318 degrees set in there, and we've got IMXT spelled out, so that is identified. And we're going to intercept the glide slope. There's a glide slope to intercept. We'll go gear down. Flaps 15. We'll turn our taxi light on. And our missed approach altitude initially is going to be 2,100. So we will put 2,100 feet in there. Our precise final approach fix is going to be 1,700 feet on glide slope. Okay, let's go ahead and slow it down to our approach speed, which is going to be 120. Now, and we'll go landing flaps selected. Before landing checklist, gears down, 3 green. See 3 green there. I've got 3 green right here on my throttle quadrant. Flaps, landing flaps are selected and indicating speed brakes are 0. ICAS checked. It is all checked. Airspeed VREF. We're going to use approach speed for now, and autopilot. We'll get that once we get a little bit closer. All right, before landing checklist is complete. We are cleared to land, runway 31 right, looking really good on the approach. I'm going to go ahead and turn the auto throttle off. We'll disengage the autopilot as well. I have control. A little bit of wind shear there. There's minimums, continuing. Slowing the airplane down a little bit. There she is, speed brakes. Fly the nose wheel down. There's the nose. Reversers deployed. Clear them. And manual braking. Make this left turn on Alpha here. Welcome to Chicago, everybody. We made it here in one piece. We'll stop and hold short. Actually, we'll clear both runways, and then we'll come to a stop and do our after landing checklist. Alright, we are clear of all runways on taxiway Alpha. This airplane does not come with a after landing checklist, with the default checklist, so I'm just going to do the things that I normally would do on any other airplane. So we'll put the speed brakes down, we'll bring our flaps up, we will get our eyes protection equipment off, and we will do our lights. So recogs can come off, we'll go back to ground recognition lights there, and we'll turn our landing lights off. Everything else looks good to me, and we'll go ahead and taxi into the ramp. Alright, here is signature, where we will be parking. Now we'll face north. So we'll pull up like so, and park the airplane facing north, right in front of signature. Just like that. This will be great. So we'll come to a stop and do our shutdown checklist. Parking brake is set, anti-ice is all off, and we will go ahead and cut off both engines. We got our taxi light off, forgot to do that. We can go ahead and turn off the both IRSs. Passenger advisory lights come off. Standby gyro cage. Avionics and ICAS power off. Emergency light switch off. Gravity cross flow switch is off. APU master switch off. And exterior lights off. We'll get the nav lights off, those lights off, and we got the ones down here already. So exterior lights are all off, and battery switches can come off, and standby power can go off as well. Okay, shutdown checklist is complete. Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this look at the FlightFX Cessna Citation 10. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on the FlightFX Citation 10 and what your experiences with it have been so far. I must say, I absolutely love this airplane. It definitely lives up to the hype that it's been receiving. Everything about it is just amazing, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who is even partly interested in it, because it is just an amazing airplane, and it's my favorite airplane in the sim right now. But with that said, everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I will talk to you all someday soon. Take care.